1, 2, 3.
Good morning, welcome to Standard Costing, a 10-minute presentation which will not make you an expert, but hopefully will give you a flavour of what standard costing is about. Now, you would have actually done budgeting in your studies. So, if I talk to you about budgeting, there would be two things you could actually link to budgeting. One would be planning. If we're in 2014 now, some businesses will be actually planning for what's going to happen in 2015. Benefit of planning is that if you know what's going to happen in the future and you don't want that to happen, you can actually plan to prevent it happening. The other aspect of budgeting is control. Once we're in 2015 and the actual activities taking place in a business, they'll say, are we doing well? Well, the answer is, let's see what we expected to happen and actually compare the two. So planning and controlling. And as my slide shows you, budget equals planning and control. And the key word on that slide is expectations. What we expect to happen and controlling those expectations when we're in the budget period. So, how does this link to standard costing? Standards themselves are an expectation. What we expect to happen. And how does that actually represent itself? Because you're asking that question that I've just put on the slide, what does it mean? Standards are an expectation, great, but what does that mean? And here we have it. To make something, let's say a table such as this, we need to have the materials to make that table. And that's called a resource. So, how much resource are we going to use? And is this resource actually going to be free? Probably not. So there's a cost associated to the resource. Hence, we need to consider not only the resource itself, how much we need to use, but the cost of that resource we need. The point at the bottom there, very briefly. If standards are an expectation and budgets are an expectation, therefore we can use standards to build budgets. That's for another time, not for now. But it's worth noting that. I've said on the slide, it's a control technique. And you might think to yourself, well, what does that mean? Indeed, the slide's actually asking that question for you. So, here's our standard costs. Remember standard costs? We've just introduced, it's the resource evaluated in monetary terms, the standard cost. And here's what's actually happened. And we're going to compare that. And what's the likelihood of both being the same? Very unlikely. There's going to be a difference. It's either going to be less than expected or more than expected. Now, I've said here, stimulates improved performance, but just a moment ago I said the variance could be higher than expected or lower than expected. Now, if it's lower than expected, we want to understand why, don't we? And actually isolate that so it doesn't happen again. That's why it's a control to improve performance. But if it's better than expected, surely that's good news. And the answer is yes, it is. But do we know how it became good news? Could it have been better news? So we need to actually harness what we've actually got a result from and be able to repeat it in the future. So both are actually improved stimuli. Okay, we've actually gone through a little bit of theory. So I don't want to actually send you to sleep. We'll be revisiting all of that in the fullness of time. So it's something that you need to actually have locked away in your toolkit. But I thought we could do with that is showing standard costing in action. And here, a simple product, a chair, something that you're sitting on. What we can see in this picture is a chair made of wood. So you say, okay, that chair's made of wood, that's the resource. But is that the only resource? I could go outside and point to a piece of wood on a tree, but that's not a chair. So something had to be given to the wood to make it into a chair. In this case, labour. So we've got two resources there, one that can be seen, one that can't. Wood can be seen, the labour employed on it can't be, but we know it's there. So the cost of that chair involves those two resources. Let's take material cost here on the slide. I've broken it down. So the resource is in terms of the quantity, how much material, how much wood we've used, and then we evaluate it with money, so we know what the cost is. Similarly with the labour, we all actually go to work, we spend time there, and that's represented by hours, and we'll get a rate of pay per hour, evaluating it in monetary terms. So, the next thing I'm introducing to you is, in terms of doing the standard costing variance analysis, there's something called a cost card. And I'm going to say this to you now, that each time you do a standard costing question, you need to spend time building a standard cost card. The cost card will be for one unit, and that will help you identify against how many units have been produced, what the standard costs are, and you'll be able to do that variance analysis much easier. So if nothing else from today, please produce a standard cost card when doing standard costing questions. Here we have it for the chair. We've got 8 metres of wood, quite a lot of wood, £3 per metre expected to be paid. In direct labour, it's going to take 9 hours to use that 8 metres of wood at £4 an hour, £36. So a total cost for that chair of £60. So you may think that's quite dear for a chair, but we're just using simple numbers to demonstrate the process. Our cost card for this chair. We're now going to use that cost card and use some actual detail. We've now moved on. We've actually made 10 chairs. 10 chairs. So it's telling us in this little scenario, very similar scenarios that you'll get, we've used 90 metres of wood and each metre has cost us £2. Similarly, we've used 100 labour hours and each hour has cost £5. So £680 for 10 chairs. And that's the actual cost of those chairs being produced in there, in that slide there. We compare it, we said we'd do that, didn't we? Actual versus standard cost comparison. And we know it's £60 for one chair, our expected price. And there are 10 chairs made, £600. And there is a difference, £80. Is that good or bad news? Well, if you think of money in your pocket, you expected to have £600 go out of your pocket, £680 came out of your pocket. It's not good news. There will be terms called adverse and favourable. We don't need to worry about that at the moment. We can just think of it as good and bad news. In this case, it's bad news. But what's caused it? Can we tell from this? I don't think we can. So, we're going to move over to the whiteboard and we're just going to examine material. So, leaving labour aside for the moment and examine material, 10 chairs, we used 90 metres of wood and each piece of metre of wood £2. And there on the whiteboard that I've put there already, One chair, 8 metres, £3 per metre. That's what we expected. So that's for one chair. If it's 10 chairs, it will be 80 metres. And 10 times £3, it will be £30. Hopefully everyone's happy with that, how that works. But we're going to do a little bit of variance analysis. And it will be strange to you at first. It will be. But you'll get used to it. We're going to look at the price variance for material and the usage variance for material. Price and usage. So in the brackets here, we're going to actually say this is to do with usage and this is to do over here with price. Hope you can see it on my writing here. Sometimes it's a little bit straggly. If you've got a problem with that, let me know. I'll try and make it better, bigger, whatever's needed. So, what was the standard usage? And what was the actual usage? If we look here, we've used 90 metres. And the standard usage should be 80 metres. We've used more than we expected. So we know we've used 10 metres more. But we need to evaluate that. That's what we said, didn't we? Result evaluated. And what was the standard price? It was £3. So, 3 times 10, £30. We've already used more wood, so we already realise that. And so that £30 difference is bad news, isn't it? Would you agree? So we know that we've used more, and therefore it's cost us more. Let's have a look at the price. The actual standard price was £3. What was the actual price? The actual price, if we look back here, £2. And so therefore, there's a £1 difference. Standard price was £3 and we actually paid £2. There's some good news for a change. But we need to actually say, okay, that's just one unit. How many metres did we use? Well, we used 80 metres. There we go, 80 metres times £1, £80. And that's good news. So, we used more, £30, bad news. We actually saved money on a better price, £80, good news. Overall, we made a £50 saving on the wood material for the chairs that we produced. The next stage in this, rather than you see me do the calculations here, now you've written down the steps for doing this, I would like you to have a go at calculating the labour costs and the labour variances. Similarly, in terms of a rate variance and the usage variance for the rate, so in terms of labour. Once you've done that, I'll actually come back and we'll actually go through it together and make sure we've got on track, and then we can add those two and see how it totals to the total variance, the difference between what we expected and what the actual price was, actual cost was, I'm sorry. So we'll leave it there, and I'll leave you to have a go. Thank you.